Hey everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Bozmos2, where we are playing Chaco. It's turn 62. Jump into things. Okay, so we've got a very interesting development this turn. We can see, what happened there, Ermor? We just got attacked by a bunch. Okay. So to kind of clear this up, this isn't a nap break. Not in the genuine term of the words. Ermor has gone AI. Oof. Now, Ermor, they're not massive, right? But they were decently large. We don't have good scouting up here. I guess I could maybe check the, let me go check the server real quick. If I can find the maps. Here we go. Pump. Alright, so here's kind of like a show of Ermor's territory, right? They expanded up into this section where Dom Danielle had been. And then this was their kind of like base. They had a couple of underwater holdings, etc. There you can see they're being attacked by Cetis, and they are being attacked by Atlantis. And it seems fairly obvious that that combined force was going to do them in. But generally speaking, it does seem like they've thrown in the towel very early. I'm not going to rant about this, but you all kind of know my opinion on going AI in a game. Let's go to Streamlabs. What you doing? If you're going to go AI in a game, go AI after you have nothing left to do, right? Don't go AI when you still have a lot of units and big armies and things like that, because it ends up being a situation where, you know, the AI, even compared to like a new player, the AI is typically not going to make smart moves. They're just going to throw themselves at people, right? And it just ends up being a situation where even if Ermor was going to lose to Atlantis or Cetis, they could have done a fighting retreat and tried to inflict as much damage as possible. Going AI like this means that Cetis and Atlantis are basically just going to take large swaths of land for very little, honestly. So, but that is the situation as it is. Like I said, I'm not going to harp on it. It is what it is, and we're going to have to deal with some stuff. So simple, easy. A couple of other things. We did some auspecs. We did some site searching. Auspecs, gnome lore, dark knowledge, gnome lore. We did glory of the sun. We did some more naiad warriors, augury, dark knowledge, augury, dark knowledge. We didn't find anything with our site searching, which is unfortunate. I'm kind of, we're at that point where I'm not expecting to find much more on most of these things. However, I would really have liked to have gotten some more augury, some more fire sites, because we're only sitting at like 12 on that, and that's pretty bad. And I'd definitely like to find more death sites via dark knowledge, because we're only sitting at like 6 death income, and again, that is really bad. That's super unimpressive. So hopefully that's going to change in the near future, but kind of just crossing our fingers and hoping at this point. All right, let's take a look at a bunch of these battles. So we get hit here in Jereb, and most of these aren't going to be actual battles, but we can take a look. Our PD is not going to be able to survive against forces like this, but we can see that there's not really much of anything here. This is a lot of undead. I say a lot of undead. It's, close to 200 undead. But the only real threatening portion here is the Knights of the Unholy Sepulchre, right? And that threatening without a bless. So, of course they're going to destroy our PD, but we can probably get rid of them relatively easily. So yeah, close to a 200. Lost a bit here, no big deal. We witness a battle between Atlantis and Urmor in the Impassable Mountains, so let's watch that. That is Atlantis with a very small force moving up on a very small force of PD from Urmor. Nothing that they're going to be able to do against this. Easy peasy. Did they even lose anything? Actually, yeah, they did lose 5 Lizard Warriors, but still. Here's another situation that has happened, and this one I will kind of rant about a little bit. I find it incredibly bad form, and it's a war game, so who you know, at the end of the day, again, everyone's gonna play how they want to play. I know that the way that I play is probably quite a bit more. I say it's significantly less cutthroat than it probably should be, but I have these. It's a game, right? So like, I don't want to screw people over. I want people to have a good time. I don't want to come across as rude. I find it incredibly rude when people make grabs or attempts at indie provinces or provinces that are taken by indie events. Especially, right? If, in this particular case, for a Phlegra, these are provinces that I have taken from Kangobia or been raiding from Kangobia, and I approached for a Phlegra about fighting against Kangobia originally, right? When it very first happened, when I very first got into the war with them. And they were basically like, nah, we're not interested. We have a nap with them, and we've got other stuff to deal with. Okay, fine, great. Then don't start pilfering freaking provinces in the battle. You can say whatever you want about, like, oh, well, it was an indie province. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. That just means I'm gonna want to sit people on your border and wait for something to happen in your lands. Do you get the scenario? Like, it's shitty. That is a shitty response, and it's a shady practice. It's the scenario of like, look, if that's how you're gonna be, then we might as well just be at war, right? I hate that type of stuff. I hate that type of. It's one thing to actually vulture land. But this type of thing annoys me because it can lead to really annoying issues. Like getting into bumps and losing people. Potentially important people. Not really the case in this situation. But I just, like, that irks me. It irks the shit out of me. So, let's take a look real quick. What happens in Ukrema. Okay, so in Ukrema, they've got these court guards, which are pretty tough. Protection, high protection, sacred. They hit very hard with this executioner's axe. He's got a couple of them kind of like filtered throughout his force. He's got a fair amount of these pikemen, which are pretty cool. He's got these crossbowmen, which again are pretty cool. Very high resource or very intensive resource nation. But he's also got the Phlegra thing going on, and the Phlegra thing is the non-mage communion slaves, right? Which means he's got a actually relatively strong communion. He's only really got one individual, that's the master of the communion, and that's this magistrate back here. But still very interesting. So he's gonna make very short work of this group of peasants. Very interesting. He uses the last strike. Interesting. Alright, so he loses basically nothing. And let's see what happens with us. So we sent a Monk Katsina there this past turn to take this province back. Of course, we get a bump. And this Monkatina doesn't have the greatest equipment. It's kind of cobbled equipment, but generally speaking, this Monkatina will be able to kind of handle almost anything that is thrown at him. These guys are relatively threatening, right? Because they have a pretty high damage hit, 27 damage, but there aren't really enough of them to guarantee his death. They could, right? But it's also possible that he survives. So, let's see how it goes. The crossbowmen are actually somewhat dangerous too, because they have armor-piercing rounds, you know? But our fire resistance ignores the majority of their fire damage. Okay, so we get in a fight, we start, you know, entangling, we start earth softening, etc. And these guys have really high protection, so we're kind of... Our damage is stymied a little bit. So we're kind of just sitting here, and we're very slowly killing. And now you can see the issue is we've got this Communion Master back here with a relatively high Communion. +3 magic boost. Right? So an Astral 5. And then the other problem is these guys, these crossbowmen, get so close that their precision is... They're basically they're not guaranteed, but they're really likely to hit. And now we have this kind of race where we're regenerating but taking damage, and then regenerating and taking damage. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. But in theory, this is still winnable for us. Ooh. And then we rout. We just take a little bit too much damage. We probably, again, we could have continued to just regen. And it's possible that we could have out-ammoed the crossbowmen eventually and then just won, because the pikemen, the melee, were basically no threat. Their magic resistance is too low, so they just end up getting either entangled or softened. Well, the softened is strength. But still, we rout, and as we are routing... Finally happens. We get our mind enslaved. So not only do we have a bump, right? But rather than this Monkatina fleeing and it just being, okay, whatever, right? He steals our Monkatina. And that pisses me off, right? That pisses me off. Okie dokie. We killed 6 flagrant pikemen, which is, what, 66 gold. That is not a worthwhile trade for a 260 gold Monkatina that has gear on him. So that's really fucking annoying. We are hit in Pastena by a group of about 80 or so Longdad. Not really a problem. We're going to be able to push this off very easily, but, you know, it does get rid of our PD, which is annoying. We attack into Endless Plain. And this is kind of an interesting little fight. So, over here he's got mostly Kengob soldiers, and then he's got a couple of, like, little things. Mostly this guy, the Spirit Shaman, is kind of interesting. So this guy has homesickness. There's so many different options in the Kengob lineup. Right, so this guy is an ethereal undead unit, and he has homesickness, so he can't really go anywhere, but he is an adept researcher at 21 research. My goodness. I wonder how much this guy costs. I should really fire up Kengobia stays and see how they work. So we're not worried about this fight at all. We are worried about what's happening over here. So Eagle Eyes, Pillar of Fire, Eagle Eyes, Pillar of Fire, Eagle Eyes, Pillar of Fire. So basically, he's hoping to catch me out with Pillar of Fire. This particular guy only has 10 fire resistance, so Pillar of Fire absolutely can obliterate him if he's getting good hits. So far, he is not, which is really fortunate for us. Oh, the boomers are incoming now. The boomers are exploding everywhere now. That's bad. But again, their explosion is not doing enough damage to get through. We kill the spirit guy, and that's that. Survive. We win. 26 kills, killed the spirit shaman, killed a bunch of chaff, ED, whatever. Cool. We get hit in Zaburia by Urmor, AI Urmor. And this is strange. We just get attacked by a bunch of Dusk Elders. And they're just gonna summon skeletons and horde of skeletons us down. Again, this is gonna be relatively simple for us to beat. But this one will take a little bit more effort because these guys can do quite a bit of summon skeleton spam, as you can see. They don't have much reinvigoration or anything like that, though, so they do become fatigued relatively quickly. But they can't really siege us down, so it's not really a big deal. We witness a hit on Facia's land here in Ashington. Another very similar situation. Feed through this. Okay. Didn't lose anything. This is cool. We actually see a very big battle between Satis and a whole crapload of Urmorian forces. But here's the thing, again, right? The AI does not make smart decisions, so this is a massive force of Urmorian undead, but it is not supported via magic by very much. There's a Dusk Elder here, and I think there's maybe one or two other casters. Yeah, there's a Archbishop here, another one here. I think there's a couple of things a little mixed in here or there. We'll take a look throughout, but up against this a whole bunch of undead, but up against a lot of other units, and actually a pretty good casting core, right? Quite a few Sauromancers, quite a few Lizard Kings, and the Lizard Kings are going to be able to do pretty large banishments, etc. So the core of this army is made up by these Tomb Chariots, which are kind of interesting. They're cool. But he's also got these War Scarabs, which are freaking intensely large. 80 hit points, 20 base protection, size 6 tramplers with fear. They have basically like a fire turret. It's very, very crazy. But anyways, see how this goes. He does his Divine Blessing, puts up a Natural Storm. He does Mass Protection. So you can actually see the Tomb Chariots jump in protection. Quite tanky now. The War Scarabs already were. Got some Duggos. And just look at these massive banishments coming through. Like, they're freaking huge. Just, oof, destruction. Now this force of... okay, so now we can kind of see, now that the chaff is all away. He's got a single Dusk Elder, and then he's got a bunch of these Archbishops. And now these Archbishops, they could also be casting things like Control Undead or what have you, right? But there's just not enough going on here for the side of Urmor compared to what a human player would put into the mix against another human player. So it's basically just like a waste of forces. And Urmor has a lot of forces, but they don't have enough to deal with something like this. Like losses like this, losses of 80, whatever. Losses of just like 400, 500, 600, right? That many? Yeah, no, that's a big deal. Absolutely a big deal. All right. So that's this one. Yeah, so this was 255 versus 650 that he loses almost everything, basically everything. He lost 45 of his own tomb chariots. Okay, whatever, not a big deal. Lost a single Sorrowmancer. So that's unfortunate, but yeah, is doable, right? That's just that's sad to see, right? Because this army, supported by, 10 Dusk Elders, could have actually potentially done something. Like, could have done a big something, right? But, no. We have another bump, where Foray Flegra tries to take the halls out from under us. This is a bunch of Bakemono shows, some militia, some ironclads, and then some, what are these? Flagrant Smiths. These guys are pretty cool. They've got resource bonus, they've got Master Smith, and they're not bad inherently. They got some interesting... Guys got susceptible to shock. Interesting. So, up against a bunch of peasants. This is going to be nothing. Very simple. Loses one militia. And then we have a Wuya heading back to the halls. So, this is going to be a situation. A very different situation. Because our Wuya is not going to fold like our Monkatsina did. Strength of Gaia, summon Earth Power, Flying Shield, and then we don't make it all the way back to them, unfortunately. We drop in the middle of things, and we just start, killing mass swaths of stuff with our Firebrand. As soon as we take a hit, we're regenerating 20%, so we heal almost immediately back to full. Very easy. Question is do we make them pay enough for the loss of a Monkatsina? And I think the answer is not really, honestly. He loses 17 Bakemono shows, whatever, right? He loses 7 ironclads. These are more gold, that's okay. He loses 20 militias, whatever. Some veteran halberdiers. Had we gotten the Flagrant Smiths, then maybe, right? Like, that would be pretty good if we'd killed both of them. But as it is, he basically just snatched a province from me, killed a Monkatsina, and took a very light amount of payback for it. So not really cool, honestly. Like, that really annoys me. Don't do that type of shit. Or if you do, I mean, if you do expect people to get pissy with you, right? Like, if you're gonna play a multiplayer game and you're gonna vulture land from people like that, expect for those people to develop grudges against you. And it is what it is, right? Like, again, it's a war game, so obviously, right? Like, advantages, etc., etc. I get it, but it's also that scenario of like, we can fight, but we don't have to be rude about it. I'm trying to choose my words carefully here, right? And I consider this type of shit pretty rude. Right, so immediately my hackles are raised, and I'm like, okay, well, if I can deal with Kangobia and not have to worry about fighting Kangobia anymore, I'm pretty sure I've got a individual that I'm interested in fighting, because fuck it, chuck it in the fuck it bucket. Anyways, moving on. We've got a bunch of events. In Assad, the plague cult has been eradicated. This is both a good thing, but also an annoying thing, because I was just getting into the scenario where I was starting to recruit people to patrol that province out, and as soon as I do, they're like, nah, no, it's okay, we're done, bye. So at least it's done now. We have an event I love that this fires with their flag. This is really cool. One of our younglings has been seen creating fires from their hands and accidentally, or not, killed some of their siblings. Hey! We got a Kengob crazy. I find it so weird that events like this can fire, and if you're on the fortification, you own the province, so they fire for you. It's so strange. But we just got a Kengob crazy, and that's cool. In the halls, we have lost taxes. And in Peacehaven, we gained Earth Gems. In Assad, we gained Misfortune. Worldwide event, we got some heat worldwide. We have had units healed worldwide. We had a battle in the halls where, so where we landed, this Wuya got hit by another bout of peasants. So that's kind of annoying, but it is what it is. The entrance to the fortification of Jereb has been breached. That's where the stack of close to 200 undead is. And then the siege in Zaburia and Pastina aren't really anything that we have to worry about. In other news, Jotunheim has been permanently vanquished, and Edranor has been permanently vanquished. So that's cool. All right, what are we doing this turn? Most of what we're doing this turn is in response to the AI from Urmor. We've got these guys on Zaburia. I don't know if they're going to stick there, but we're going to start moving units towards them. We're going to send Wuya 19, a new Wuya, with a force of Jade Maidens, Katsina Warriors, and Jade Maidens. This is primarily so that we can make sure we have magic weapons to be able to hit those elders, because they are ethereal. And also, this is going to be relatively... This type of force should crush a horde of skeletons casting contingent relatively easily by flanking them on the wings and hitting them from the sides. So we're just going to march out there. No big deal. We are moving some sorceresses down into Chaco with the intention of eventually sending them down into places like Vongar and probably to Zaburia. Basically, we're just trying to move sorceresses around to make sure that we have a sorceress that we can mix into most of our larger forces, right? We want to be able to mix sorceresses in to forces so that we can mix in fire buffs and earth buffs into communions. Specifically the earth buffs, primarily for stuff like temper flesh. Well, actually, we don't have to do temper flesh. Primarily for stuff like summon earth power, mostly, truth be told. But I wonder if there's anything else. Right now, obviously, Iron Skin works really well. But later on, we won't have to worry about that because we'll have stuff like Army of Lead or Gold. But summon earth power is always going to be useful for the reinvigoration, basically. So, looking forward to that. What else? We are sending one of our warrior twins, the fire warrior twin, over to High Peaks to potentially do some augury stuff over in this direction. We are sending Mong Katsina 20 towards Scraw Point, and this is specifically because we might go and attack Onremark. Onremark is a throne province, and it's possible that it's going to get threatened by Satis sooner rather than later, but it's also possible that it stands for a little bit. And if we can get a Mon Katsina on it, I don't think AI Urmor can really push it off. And we've got a bunch of these alligators here, or crocodiles, I guess. We could send them over to try to siege it down. We'll see how that goes, though. Or we might just send like a Wuya with more forces over in that direction. We'll see. But for now, I'm just going to try to get a Mon Katsina on it and trying to hold it for the moment. Moving around some more crystal sorceresses. And then in other locations, specifically in Pastina and Jereb, we're going to be hitting the Urmorian forces. Wuya 18 is going to be breaking siege with a very simple script. Meditation, Iron Skin, Strength of Gaia, Summon Earth Power, Moss Body. With the gear that they have and what those Urmorian forces have brought, I don't really think there's any concern there. There's a little bit more of a concern down here with Mon Catsina 3, because Mon Catsina 3 is not as strong. I have given him an Earth Gem and a Nature Gem, though, so that he can do stuff like cast Strength of Gaia and Summon Earth Power, so that he has better reinvigoration, so he doesn't get fatigued out. He's also got our Slime Shield, so we'll see how that works. And generally speaking, I think he'll be fine because very high protection, high regeneration, the ability to repel, and also just undead. Those undead are not going to do well against Vine Shield. Even 200 of them, they're not going to do well against Vine Shield. So it should be fine. We are attacking with Wuya 17 back into Pustenia. And then we're probably going to jump from Pustenia down into other locations. I'm probably just going to try to raid around Ingobia's lands with Wuya 17, which probably means that Wuya 17 is going to die eventually. But, you know, as long as he can do some damage, maybe kill some small forces, and specifically screw up some more temples. Destroying these temples is very important. I want to get some of these stuffs. Blackhawks. What else are we doing? We are attacking Blue Moss Forest with Wuya 2. So this is something that is very dicey, but we talked about this last turn, the concept that we're trying to put a whole bunch of resistance gear on, shock and fire resistance, specifically the fire resistance, so that we can't get really hurt by the flames, and then letting the flames from the Drakens just kill people, right? And then the hope there is that we can kill enough Drakens with something like a Firebrand. Right, the fire damage off of the Firebrand obviously isn't going to matter to them very much, but the physical damage, the 34 damage off of the Firebrand, that's still chunks. So the hope there is that we can route them through HP damage, basically. I don't think he's going to be patrolling, though. So, you know, I think we're kind of in this situation where yeah. IDK. I'm also really not sure that this is going to work out with the concept. I don't know if we're going to succeed in HP routing him if he puts up things like Howl or something, but we'll see. Other news, we are doing multiple castings of Naiad Warriors. Trying to like fast build a Kidnid army here. I think with enough Kidnids we can swarm and kind of destroy some things. Also, I think Kidnids are going to pair really, really well with the fact that we're going to rush up to Arcane. We're going to be very slow getting there, but we're going to get there. We're going to run to Alteration 9 for Army of Gold. Army of Gold and Army of Lead, really. This will also get us Will of the Fates, which we can get very easily into things. Warriors of Muspelheim or Warriors of Niflheim, we can get pretty easily into things. Ground Army, we can get pretty easily into things. Will of the Fates, we already said that, but that's really awesome. And we can get to where we start doing wishes. We've got 19 pearls per turn, so we could do, we could do a wish about every 5 turns. That's not great, but it is a plausible way to outfit some things or respond to certain, certain threats. We'll have to see though. What else? What else? Really, really pushing for research right now. We've got nearly 3K research, which isn't bad. Trying to put all of our money into more research, or in places like places like Old Man, trying to make sure that we're raising more forces, right? Because that is going to be important for us to be able to siege things down effectively and quickly against King Govia. And that's about it. For forging, we are doing some very simple stuff, mostly just re-solidifying our gear. Another Firebrand, another Scutado Volturnus, another Dragon Helmet, more Boots of the Messenger, and then we're doing a Horn of Valor to pair with our Helmet of Heroes. And then we are doing a Endless Bag of Wine, because I want to have a couple of those on hand for if we need to charge into some Ermorian land, right? Where it's basically zero supplies. Because our Wuyas provide a lot of supplies. They provide 40 supply bonus, but that's not going to be enough for, an army to actually march. So we'll need some Endless Bags of Wine. And then, I think the only other real thing that we're doing is just a bunch of Lightless Lantern. Well, I think we're doing 4 Lightless Lanterns this turn. So, yeah. Should be good. Alright, that's going to be it for the turn. Kind of an exciting little, a scenario, an attack from Ermor that we're going to have to repel. Sad to see Ermor's player throw in the towel so quickly when it's pretty clear they had a lot left. It's also, again, I understand, it's pretty clear that they're going to lose. But they could have done, this fighting retreat back into the center of their land, right? And tried to do one of those kind of big cap death ball scenarios. And is that super useful? No, not really, honestly, right? But it could be fun. It could be fun to challenge Cetis or Atlantis, or to create maybe a defense force in Middle Ermor and then a death ball and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna take this death ball and I'm gonna ram it through Cetis's land or Atlantis's land, or go on a world tour for as long as I can, anything besides tossing in the towel, right? It just, is what it is. I think if there's anything else that we're super, well, I don't think so. I think that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye, everybody.